So first up is Senator Judy Amabile, Senate District 18.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much to the Longmont area Dems for doing this. It is really important for us to be able to connect, and you guys are the best at getting us all together. And I really appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. Um, there are so many things happening that it is really overwhelming. And I think that for for me, I need to focus on the things that I can change and the things that I can have an effect on. And those are things that are happening here in Colorado. And it's really hard for us to have an impact on things at the federal level. I know we can advocate for that and we can be a voice for what we need, but we actually have real power to change what's happening in our laws and in the things that we do here in Colorado. And that's where I'm focused. And I want to just say, I'm on this call with all of these lawmakers at the State House who are all involved in doing well for the Colorado people and for making sure that we're all protected. So the people on this call are working on LGBTQ rights, reproductive rights, immigrant rights, voting rights, uh, all of the things that are being threatened by the Trump administration are things that we're working really hard to protect. EMTALA, which is the federal rule that says you have to treat somebody if they show up at an emergency room with life-threatening condition, no matter what it is. And these are really concrete things that we're building into our laws here in Colorado to make sure that if the federal government isn't going to protect us, the state of Colorado is. But all of that is under the backdrop of this incredibly tough budget situation that we have. And I am on the Joint Budget Committee and have been focused on addressing the $1 billion shortfall that we have in our budget, which is not created by a recession, but is in fact created by the constraints of Tabor and also by some of the things that we did in response to the pandemic and programs that we set up and that we now can't afford to continue to pay for. And we are going to have a very tough bunch of choices to make to get to a balanced budget. And we are required constitutionally to have a balanced budget. And one of the things that I'm very interested in preserving is our safety net and making sure that the most vulnerable people in Colorado have access to food, to shelter, to healthcare. And Medicaid, 25%, 20 to 25% of the people in our state get their health insurance through Medicaid. And people who are disabled, people who have serious mental illness, this is the only hope they have of getting care. And I want to make sure we preserve that. And the other big thing in our budget is K through 12 education. So a third Medicaid, a third K through 12. And I know that Senator Marchman is here and she is an incredible advocate for K through 12 education. And I know she will speak to that and wanting to make sure that we do everything we can to make sure that they emerge from this budget crisis unscathed. So those are the things that I'm focused on. I have legislation that I'm running, and I have my first two bills up in the Senate are tomorrow, and we are working on gun legislation and all kinds of things. But I'm mostly interested in hearing your questions and what you all are concerned about.
Thanks, Judy. Ingrid, have you opened up the chat for folks?
If you all don't ask questions, that's very embarrassing for me. So I hope you all will have some questions about the things you're really concerned about or what you would like to see us doing or anything.
I have a question for you, Judy. When I was looking at the state legislative website, and this is something we're going to kind of walk through with people when everybody's done speaking. On your page, you scroll down and it lists all the bills that you're working on. Is that a complete list, or do bills only get posted on that website after they're introduced?
Those are the bills that have been introduced. And at this stage in the game, most of the bills have been introduced, although I still have several that have not been introduced. And also, those are both bills that start in the Senate and bills that start in the House. And I don't know, you have to toggle that thing to make sure that you're seeing all of that, both the House and the Senate.
Oh, that's a good tip. That's a good tip. I'm always learning new things on that website. Thank you.
I mean, that is an amazing website, and we should probably post here for everybody to have access to that, how to get to the General Assembly website, because you can search that by legislator, by bill, by committee. It's really powerful.
I did post the link earlier. So
Okay,
I'm doing it again.
okay. And I see Stan and Beth have their hands raised.
Yeah, this is Beth. Thanks for being on here, Judy. You were talking about the importance of Medicaid for so many people in Colorado. What are the things that we in Colorado can do to protect those people from federal control of those funds?
I mean, this is a question that we're grappling with right now in the Joint Budget Committee because we have no idea what's coming. There was a day last week when the entire thing shut down and we had no idea. We didn't, when they were going to reopen that. And, you know, I have a son who is on Medicaid, who is disabled, who is really reliant on this system working so that he can access the healthcare that he needs. And so that's really personal for me. What can you all do? I mean, I think things like this protest today where we show that we have some power, that we are not capitulating. We are not going along with this idea that we can just shut down the federal government and defund all the workers and that everything will be okay, because that's not accurate. And so I think you all are the foot soldiers in this struggle. And also, you know, just, you know, contacting the federal delegation and making sure they understand just how important this is. And I have been doing that too, to make sure they understand that they have to stand up for us and we have to stand up for ourselves.
Looks like
I'm
sorry about that.
I'm Karen Latsko. I have a question. I don't know how to raise my hand. I did turn on my audio. What do I do?
Just
Go
ask.
for it. Just
Go ahead,
ask.
Matt. Go for it.
There's a data breach going on federally with Elon Musk, and doesn't seem like there's a way to stop that. Is there state legislation that's being introduced to protect our state data, especially the financial budgets and anything financial or personal that you just mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, we have safeguards in place and we are also, you know, we're going through the budget right now, line by line, and there are a lot of requests on data security, and we're very mindful of the need to make sure we have that in place. And Elon Musk is not going to get access to our data here in Colorado, but, you know, Medicare, federal stuff, yeah, I don't know how to stop that either.
Just more of the state data to have a rogue person that comes in, because there's also protections and all of that at the federal level, but they've all been disregarded.
Yeah, I mean, it is a good time to be living in Colorado with the balance of power that we have here. We are moving to make sure that we are protected. And it's not to say that something couldn't happen because, you know, who knows what's coming next, but we are really mindful of that.
Thank you.
And I got a direct message, and it might be from Karen as well, but how about we go to Ray?
Hi, Senator. Thanks for taking our questions. As I'm sure you're aware, many of the DEI programs are being eliminated in federal programs, and now that's starting to sneak into the private sector. Google just announced today that they'll be getting rid of their DEI programs. So I was curious what your thoughts are as far as protections for DEI programs on the state level, if that's possible. And also, I guess, more within your own personal realm of power, how do you implement DEI in your own staff, your leadership, your own kitchen cabinet?
Yeah. Well, let me just say at the state, we have lots of DEI programs. We have funding for DEI at the state level. And we are mindful that we need to protect that. I mean, this assault on people of color is racist. It is just really wrong. And it is going to hurt real people. And I don't think any of us on this call are interested in buying into any of that. But I will say that, you hear CU saying, well, okay, we're going to change the name of this website. And we are going to have to there are going to be some devil's choices in terms of these things. So do you want federal funding? Do we want CU to continue to operate their labs and all of the economic vitality that comes from them? And so I think we should also all be mindful that we're navigating some really incredibly difficult waters. And let's give some grace to the organizations that might choose to capitulate in some ways while still trying to hold strong in other ways. So, there is no talk of eliminating DEI programs at the state level. I can assure you of that for now. But I think I don't know what's going to happen. I think the thing I'm particularly worried about is being told, if you don't do X, Y, and Z, we're going to pull back all of your Medicaid funding. And then I don't know, we're going to have to decide what are the trade-offs that we want to make. And it's going to be really, really hard. And I hope you all will help us figure that out and that we'll be able to have a really deep and nuanced conversation about what we should do.
Thank you. Yeah, and the second part to that question, I guess, was, as far as what you have power of in your own realm of influence,
Yeah, well,
how do you implement DEI?
yeah, I mean, the big power that I have is on this joint budget committee and making sure that I believe it to be a moral document and to make sure that our values are expressed in the budget. And that is, that's the power that I have in this particular moment of really terrible things that we're going to have to consider.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you for staying strong.
Yeah, thank you for the question.
Thank you, Senator Amabile. To respect everyone's time, can take one more question for Senator Amabile, and we'll try to move on to the next person. Ryan Forbes.
Hi, Senator. Thank you. I was wondering, so you talked about protecting Colorado from everything coming down federally, and earlier we saw the memo which got redacted about cutting off all federal funding, which you talked about with Medicaid, but also potentially affecting local governments as well as nonprofits. And I was wondering if there was anything that you were working with the state legislature to help protect Colorado if and when they try and, figure out a way where they can cut off funding to places where they don't want that funding to go. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Well, I mean, thank you for the question. This is the thing that we're bracing for. And yes, we're head down. We're working away on what we can control on the budget, on the thing that's right in front of us. But we have no idea. I mean, Trump has said a lot of things, and Musk has said a lot of things. And so what actually comes down, what sticks, what the courts protect and what the courts don't protect, that's all kind of up in the air. So, but we're considering all of these potential problems that could come down the road for us. And we are mindful of that. There is just, if we lose federal funding for the state for education, for higher education, for Medicaid, for transportation, for infrastructure, all of the things that the federal government is our partner in, that is going to really change what we're doing here. And we are trying to figure out what are the changes that might be coming and how can we brace ourselves for those things. I mean, I also want to say they're talking about, oh, we want to cut back on government and we want to stop the flow of this money. This is our money. This is money that states like Colorado have paid in with our tax dollars. It isn't their money, it's our money. And I want to make sure that people understand that. A state like Colorado pays in to the federal government way more than we get back. And so many of the blue states, that's the case for. And so this is just gross inequity and gross misallocation of the money that we have all worked really hard to pay in to the federal government. So, so we're mindful of that. And please feel free to reach out to me. You have my email address there, and send it to the email that's me, Judy at judyamabile.com. And I'm happy to talk to you all more about that. And just know that I'm getting up at 3 or 4 o'clock every morning and feeling fear in my heart about what is going to happen, but also working on real solutions.